These lights you see behind me are crews hard at work trying to clear these tracks. There was a multi-vehicle crash out here on 42 near Singer's Glen. One of those vehicles did catch fire. Kyle, this all started about a year ago when a neighbor reported people ignoring stop signs and speeding through intersections just like this one in the Northeast neighborhood. While some gravestones still have flowers standing in front, others have been completely knocked off their base by trees. One here in the hall away from windows on the bottom level of the building, and we have one here, and both of the signs say tornado shelter. I'm having a good time here at Valley Idol, channeling my inner Ryan Seacrest. And I'll tell you who else is having a good time. These folks waiting their turn in line to audition. Even a crazier story is what some folks are willing to do to be first in line. I'm sitting here in Patrick's tent. I figured you guys would need to hear the truth from me if these things are as delicious as they look. So Jason and I are gonna cheers here, and we're gonna take a bite. The culprit, soil that you can buy at almost any store. Soil that you can find at almost every house, other than apartments. The lots by Edgelawn Drive are zoned R1, or low-density residential, for regular single-family homes. People here, well, they're worried about what could happen to this land if it's rezoned as R5. It receives about 1/3 of its revenue from the federal government. And that percentage has them asking the question, what if 50 years of hard work all went away tomorrow? As these fans enjoy the game, they're going to be sitting in about 30-degree weather. And that was Bush in 2010 at Bristol. Last night he would have to work for it though. East Rock won this rivalry game 49-23 last season. So let the battle of 2017 begin. East Rock welcoming Page County to Eagle Stadium, picks it off and takes it to the house. Put 6 more on the board, up 21-0. 3 interceptions and hard hits pretty much sums it all up. But their offense rocking and rolling too. Justin Vaughn takes the handoff, but he ain't going down today. How he got out of that mess? Purewell, chalk it up to Purewell. 46 yards to set up a touchdown, and out of this world play that earned the top 3 nomination. Oh, let me break it down. Ready?
Yes,
you should have said no. Should have gone home.
I remember.
There's more than that.
Now
not going to keep
now
going.
That you sing the chorus.
Man, it's just sad to sit here and look at this.
Jeff Waggy has lived in Dayton his entire life.
See, you got the Lehmans here, you got the Kaufmans.
He knows almost everyone buried at the Dayton Cemetery of Virginia.
That's Mike Hill. His mom and dad's buried right on the other side of the road here.
And he has never seen damage quite like this.
It was like a war zone is what it looks like.
While some gravestones still have flowers standing in front, others have been completely knocked off their base by trees. Trees snapped in two and at least a dozen gravestones overturned.
It broke tombstones you would never have dreamed of a tombstone breaking.
Something that Public Works says will take weeks to clean up was destroyed in a matter of seconds.
It's going to be, more difficult to remove, and further down on Main Street, on some of the other streets, it's backyards, it's in the alleyways. It's going to be difficult to get that stuff out of there.
We certainly don't want to see a piece of our history destroyed, so we're hoping that it's minimal.
That is just unreal.
Even in the middle of what he says resembles a war zone.
It's just beyond words.
With the help of Jeff Waggy, its history will not be destroyed.
I don't like seeing a flag touch the ground.
When you hear that crunchy grass, you know that's the sign of dry weather.
It's crunch time for cattle farmers like Steve Softly.
The grass is not as lush as it was, and it's not as good a feed quality for the livestock.
They have decisions to make if rain does not come soon.
Am I going to have enough hay to feed the number of cattle that I have? Will I have to sell some cattle now and take a chance on having enough hay, or will I have to buy some hay later on to get me through the winter?
Tapping into their winter supply now only means more money out of their pockets.
If we have to start feeding now in October, it's going to take a lot of hay.
A rain shortage might be taking its toll on a hay crop this fall. But for farmers harvesting pumpkins, like here on Myers Farm, dry weather doesn't rain on their parade.
If this drought would have been a month or 6 weeks ago, it would have been real drastic on them.
Now fully grown Mike Myers pumpkins are hardly fazed by the dry conditions.
too much rain can at this point create a lot of problems for rot.
Still aware of his neighbors,
But for the farmers with the hay, yes, it's very, very dreadful.
praying for the skies to open on their fields.
As we go further and further into the season, it gets drier and drier and drier. We're constantly asking ourselves, when is the next rain going to come?
In Rockingham County, I'm Victoria Wood, WHSV.
Driver, I need you to pull your truck forward, please.
It's an exit most vehicles don't take, but it's a necessary stop for trucks traveling through the state.
About 12 million trucks are weighed annually in Virginia, and just a little more than 2 million were weighed at this station.
The Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles mans the Stevens City Way Station on I-81, checking for anything and everything.
For license plates, they're looking for obvious damage to the vehicles. We're looking for broken or cracked windshields. We're looking to make sure the drivers are wearing their seat belts. And also, believe it or not, we actually catch some of them watching television.
If the truck weighs more than 80,000 pounds, it could be hard for the truck to stop, putting you in danger. So if it's too heavy or they don't pass initial inspection,
if the vehicles are unsafe, obviously everyone on the highway is unsafe.
it's time to park.
They're watching the weights, we're watching the trucks.
Virginia State Trooper E.E. Mason doesn't cut corners with his inspections.
We're checking everything from either headlights, tires, suspension, brakes, making sure the framework on the vehicle is secure.
He says you never know what you might find in the hidden places.
You know, there's a lot of little pockets there that they can stick stuff, hiding drugs and stuff like that.
But even with a thorough search, Trooper Mason knows he can't catch them all.
You can't check every one of them. You know, it's a hit and miss thing, so you just take it at random. It's like if you find it, you got lucky that day.
In Stevens City, Victoria Wood, WHSV.
It was kind of a misty rain. It was light rain.
Even down to the weather.
And we had to stand out in the rain there for probably 3 hours, 4 hours.
Gifford Pence remembers the day he got the chance to march for President Eisenhower in the 43rd inauguration back in 1957.
We had the bagpipes behind us. I do remember that. I can't stand them things.
Born and raised in Timberville, Pence signed up for the United States Air Force as a teen.
I think there was 5 of us that was supposed to join. I think I was the only one that left. The rest of them backed out.
And he holds on to his experiences in pictures from being stationed in Alaska.
Because the ice would get thick, 6, 8 foot thick in the bay.
6 to 8 feet thick.
Thick, yeah, thick.
And the rough winters.
60, 70 below zero. I've seen winds of 160, 80 miles an hour. We lived under the snow.
To fighting in the Korean War with friends.
I still miss them. I really do. I miss those guys.
Of his 82 years on this earth, Pence says the inauguration is one memory he'll never forget.
I'll forget things now, but back in these days, I still remember it.
He says a lot has changed since then.
It's a big difference. Not even a guard around. There wasn't a lot of trouble. There wasn't no conflict with anybody. It was just everything was peaceful.
In Page County, Victoria Wood, WHSV.